Hey, what is up guys? Guitar Rock here, welcome back to another Blue Archive video. So by the time you guys are watching this particular video, there's a chance that the fest ever could have already ended, right? So I'm recording this a couple of minutes before the fest banner was about to end. The 6% banner is going away and you know, it is going to be always lasting only for 1 week. Now here's the thing. Who comes after the fest banner? So we got a couple of very interesting characters, or you know, we're just going to focus on what students we're getting this particular week first, because that's going to be the focus of this video. We got 4 different students, right? As you can see, we got Swimsuit Kanna appearing alongside with Swimsuit Fubuki, and then we also got Swimsuit Shiroko, and of course Swimsuit Nonomi. Now if you look carefully in the JP side of things, right, you can see this is going to be the JP banner list. Right after their fest banner, they get Swimsuit Kanna, they get Swimsuit Fubuki, then afterwards they get Toki and Nagisa. But ours is a little bit different. We're getting 4 banners as opposed to just 2, right? So the Swimsuit Nonomi and Swimsuit, in this case Swimsuit Shiroko as well, is brought forward, right? So you can see it's supposed to happen a little bit later, right here, right? So it's like it's brought forward by like 1.5 months, like 2 months even, right? So that's kind of insane. So I'm not sure how they're going to shuffle this moving forward in you know, in 2026, but for now, let's talk about any of these characters, and assuming everything goes according to plan, Toki, Nagisa, these 2 are going to be the limited students, right? The limited characters. Ideally, you want to obtain them, but it's also going to be dependent on who you are going to need more in your particular account. So let's dissect this, right? We're going to talk about Swimsuit Kanna, Swimsuit Fubuki, and then we're going to talk about, of course, both Swimsuit Nonomi and Swimsuit Shiroko as well. I do have all of these students built. You know what? Let's just dive into it in the game. We're going to talk about them individually. First, let's talk about Swimsuit Kanna. How strong is she and what is her relevance in terms of meta right now, right? So ideally, if you have her, you should try to build her. She's going to be one of the more important characters or more important students to basically tackle bosses, especially Bina, alright? So why is she that good? It's because her EX skill, this is going to be where you're mostly using her for, is going to be a 2 cost that decreases enemies' defense, alright? So decrease defense by 47.8%, as you can see right there. So this is going to make her a very crucial character for bossing, ideally in Tactical Assault, Grand Assault. This is where Swimsuit Kanna shines in general. Alright, so in most cases, if you have her, then you can definitely build her. Now the good thing about her is she doesn't need high investment. What do I mean by high investment in terms of stars? 3 star is going to be more than enough because she's quite tanky. She will be able to take the hits, and you know, with 3 stars, you know, if you can get her to 4 stars, sure, with more stats, but she's not going to need that, right? Ideally, her EX skill is just going to be the one that's most important. The rest of this, you know, decreased damage taken and stuff can be useful to increase the survivability, right? But this one is also going to be quite crucial, right? Sub skill, depending on how it is, you are going to be able to improve the special student's attack right there, right? But in most cases, when you are using her, you are going to use this particular rotation, right? This particular skill to rotate better, right? 2 cost and also can decrease defense. So there's a few other students that can do that already, right? So if you don't have Swimsuit Kanna, the next best free-to-play student for you to be able to do that for the longest time, this is someone that everybody has been recommending, right? Akane. So Akane is like the free-to-play version of Swimsuit Kanna. You can see her decreased defense is a little bit less, 37.7%. Now, is this going to be that big of a difference to the point that, you know, you are going to feel a difference? In some of the higher endgame content, yes. Alright, you can basically feel a difference. 37.7% versus Swimsuit Kanna's 42%, I think, right? So that's going to be where the difference comes in, 47.8%. So that can be quite significant depending on how you look at it. Another premium version of a character that can decrease defense is going to be Pajama Yuuka. I don't have her, but you can see Pajama Yuuka can also do something similar. Alright, so you can see hers is going to be 887% here, decrease the enemy's defense by 23.3%. If the target's defense type is light armor, decrease defense by 46.7%. Now, Pajama Yuuka, I think, in my opinion, is going to be a little bit inferior to Swimsuit Kanna, because Swimsuit Kanna, hers is going to be much more consistent, right? Everybody is going to get the same amount of defense reduction. Whereas Tracksuit Yuuka, she applies more defense reduction if the enemy is going to be light armor. That means it's going to be of red color. But if not, then only 23.3%, right? In that particular case. So you still need Swimsuit Kanna or Akane in that particular case. So for a new player, I would say you know, in most cases, that particular, you just get one is going to make more sense, right? So Swimsuit Kanna is going to have that, in my opinion, an advantage, right? However, since tracksuit Yuka, did I say tracksuit? Pajama Yuka right here do have an advantage of healing. Alright, that's going to be one case, and also increase her own defense. She is pretty tanky, so I'll give her that credit, right? With that being said, that's going to be what it is for that particular one, which is going to be Swimsuit Kanna. Now let's jump on to the next one. Obviously, this is going to be the next student that I feel like, you know, you ideally don't really need in most cases. That's going to be Swimsuit Fubuki. Now, Swimsuit Fubuki is going to be a very interesting one, right? So I don't really have her, but you can see right here, she's definitely way more niche, alright? So she is a special student. She is going to be a character that does damage in circular area. So a small circle, medium circle, and large circle. So her niche is quite unique in terms of she can penetrate enemy shield. So that can be useful depending on how you look at it. But the problem is, for a lot of new players, you don't really need this, right? It's such a specialized thing that right now, as far as I know, there's no rates that she's super meta at. Can be used occasionally here and there, alright, if you're trying to do like I guess Kaiten, for example, because Kaiten do have the shield, but you can use other mechanics to remove the shield by using like a high hit attack, right? So that's going to be something that you can consider as well, like Shiroko 2 cost and stuff. So you don't really need her in particular in most cases, right? Her basic skill is fine, alright, can do damage here and there, and then her enhanced skill just improve the attack. But this one quite good for the ally explosive effectiveness, can be increased by 30.2%. So this one is not too bad, right? So I would say that Swimsuit Fubuki is going to be a somewhat a decent character, decent student, but in most cases, I wouldn't prioritize her, right? She shouldn't be your priority. I would say Swimsuit Kanna is probably going to have more usage than her. So right now, if you were to pull in all of this banner, I would highly recommend this particular character right here. And that is going to be Swimsuit Shiroko. In most cases, she's the one that makes the most sense. Now, let me explain why. A couple of days ago, I did account review, right? Account review, trying to review new students. A lot of new players came into Blue Archive recently, which is good. But here's the thing, right? If you're lacking a character that can apply this particular sub-skill, which is going to be cost recovery improvement, 20.2% at level 10, you want to consider getting her. Alright, so who has cost recovery in terms of the characters right now, right? So Himari has that as well. This is going to be the sub-skill right here. Kisaki is going to be the most notable one that has that. Alright, Kisaki is probably one of the most meta students with that. Cost recovery right here. We also got Swimsuit Shiroko, like I mentioned. You also get someone like, let's see, I know New Year Haruka has that. So she also has this particular one. Cost recovery. And last but not least, I believe Nia as well, which I do not have yet. She also has cost recovery. So cost recovery is going to be very, very important in endgame, right? So this is going to be one of the more important things ideally, because the more cost you have, the more EX skills you're able to spam or use, right? I mean, it's just that straightforward. So, you know, more cost is always a good thing, and you need to keep in mind that this doesn't stack. So you cannot put Himari and Kisaki, for example. You put them together to get 40%. It doesn't allow that, right? So keep in mind, you cannot stack. So you only need one student to do that. If you are lacking in a character that have cost recovery, definitely consider Swimsuit Shiroko. Now, Swimsuit Shiroko is one of the best students to use in PvP, alright? Just because of this particular thing, the cost recovery, combined with her basic skill right here. Alright, again, when the battle starts, increases ally crit, excluding the user by 21%, and decreases EX skill cost by 1. So this means that if your character has 5 costs, you enter the battle, their cost become 4 costs, just for one time, right? So it makes it way better. Alright, so is this going to be something that you can use in PvP? Of course, I'm going to mention PvP a lot, but she's not just uniquely exclusively used in PvP. She's also used in a lot of PvE as well, right? If you're trying to save time, you're trying to do a speedrun strategy, you're trying to climb the ranks, she can definitely help you a lot, because that means you are also going to be able to apply speedrun strat. Just so you guys know, the faster you clear time in most Total Assault, Grand Assault, the higher your rankings will be, right? So that's just going to be how it is. So keep in mind, that's just generally how strong she is. Her EX skill, surprisingly similar to Swimsuit Kanna and a bunch of other students that can decrease defense, right? So help decrease defense 34.2%, but also deals 1000% damage. So in a lot of end game content, right, once you get to later, like for example in the Fury of Set, you can basically use her there. She's quite strong right there because she gives you cost recovery and she also gives you decreased defense. Decreased defense is going to be very, very crucial against bosses, right? So you don't have to purposely bring in one more student just to be able to apply more, decreased defense, right? You already have her for that, even though it's not a high percentage, but it's still pretty good. She's one of the most meta students right now, so highly recommend you guys to get Swimsuit Shiroko. Now keep in mind, all of these students are not limited, right? I do get that. However, if you want to save a little bit for Toki and Nagisa, I get it. That's going to be something that you have to consider, but especially for players that do not have, if you don't own a single student that can do this cost recovery stuff, you should consider it as well, right? Because Toki and Nagisa, I know these are limited students, but they're, sometimes you got to consider, weigh in the options, right? In terms of limited, or do you want someone that's meta, right? In my opinion, Swimsuit Shiroko is quite meta. If you invest in Swimsuit Shiroko, right, here's how it's going to improve your account. You invest her in PvP, for PvP. She's one of the best students right there in PvP. Every single day, you do PvP 5 times per day. You are going to get more pyroxenes in return, hopefully with her, right? And therefore, even if you don't care about PvP, you just got to do 5 times, right? Just auto it. You are going to get back that pyroxenes in terms of that return, right? It is going to be a return of investment. This is what they call it, ROI, right? So I do think that Swimsuit Shiroko is definitely worth it. If you are looking to invest in your account, if you're looking to play the game long term, she is probably going to be the best one in terms of the ROI. So that's going to be how it is. Take it with what you will. Let's talk about the next one, Swimsuit Nonomi. Now, I do think that Swimsuit Nonomi is right now going to be a little bit weird, a little bit off. Not because she's weak, but she's just going to be a little bit weaker than Dressina. Now, what is Swimsuit Nonomi's concept? She's going to be a student right there that focuses on modifying her EX skill, right, to do damage, and then changes that to normal attack that ignores normal attack delay 4 times. Alright, she's going to fire multiple shots. Alright, so you can see right here her basic skill, increased attack speed, very, very good. And she also can increase attack speed right here. Her sub skill deals 20.9% as additional damage when attacking with a normal attack, while the attack has been changed to an EX skill. So she modifies her EX skill to basically fires multi-shot. I used to use her for Hieronymus. Very, very fun student to use for sure, right? However, right now the meta seems to be surrounding Dressina. Dressina completely replaces her, right? So in most cases, there's just no need for you to try to obtain Swimsuit Nonomi anymore right now. She's not limited, by the way, right? So in most cases, use Dressina, and that's just going to be, right, you are going to be able to beat most content that you need her for Dressina. Now, if you want to make 2 teams, it can still be a thing in some occasion, in some situation. For Kaiten, for Hieronymus, you can still do that, right? But I would say for most players, use your own Dressina. You borrow another friend's Dressina. Problem solved, right? There's just no need for you to ever get her. Dressina, in my opinion, is almost like 50 to 60% stronger than her, right? In most cases. Unless there are some situations that maybe, terrain advantage and stuff, I'm comparing on neutral. So that's just going to be how it is. So, all in all, the 4 banners right now, if you're looking to pull for this particular week, in my opinion, the priority should be Swimsuit Shiroko by far. Alright. Number 2, Swimsuit Nonomi or Swimsuit Kanna, depending on who you're lacking, right? I would say I'm leaning towards Swimsuit Kanna a little bit more just because she's very, very useful. She's an upgraded Akane for most players. You are going to be able to benefit from her, and she's also cheaper to build, right? Swimsuit Kanna, definitely way cheaper to build because she's not a DPS, whereas for Swimsuit Nonomi, if you ever obtain her, now you gotta build her, you gotta get her stars up, 5 star, 6 star, like get her to UE 50 at least because she's a DPS, or else you're not gonna do enough damage because you might as well just borrow Dress Hina if you're just going to use her at 4 stars, right? You get what I'm saying? And then the least priority is going to be, in most cases right here, Swimsuit Fubuki. Now, if you're getting it for waifu, or because she's flat-chested, whatever, you do you. But that's going to be the priority list for students in terms of the rankings of most used, right? Ideally for most players. So yeah, with that being said, that's going to be it for this particular video. Hopefully you guys get lucky, 1 tap, or if you want to save, skip, wait for a bit, wait for Toki and Nagisa. That should be coming when this thing ends, right? That's going to come next week, most likely. So we'll see how that goes. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, give this video a like. Have a nice day. Goodbye.